Class is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, traders. Okay, welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning, Andrea. Okay, well, what's the goal here in this webinar? Okay, we're going to go through some of the resources, show you how to connect Bookmap, define what Bookmap is, how you can subscribe to it, the different packages, some of the resources, social media, etc. And then get into the Bookmap interface, show you what we're displaying. Bookmap is a visualization software trading platform and is very unique in the way that we visualize very specific data. So we're going to go through and define what some of those elements are on the chart and then look at some of the basics in the order flow. Okay, so now if you subscribe to Bookmap, there's a webinar that follows this one every day at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And we go through the advanced analysis there. So when you subscribe, Bookmap comes with education. There is a 4-part educational course that you'll have access to. And then every day in the daily webinars, advanced webinars, we'll go through and we will back up and support the educational course, but in the live market. So you can learn about the order flow and how to use Bookmap and then see it every day in the live market. So in that live market analysis, we due to our analysis, we start to anticipate the future price movement. Okay, so that's how it works. Let's jump into bookmap.com and scroll down here and just show the different elements here. All right, well, there's an intro video here. Can continue to scroll down, more information about Bookmap, some testimonials. Bookmap for U.S. equities. So we connect to equities, digital currencies, as well as the futures markets. Okay, but I'm going to go over the equities in just a minute. All right, we're going to stop here at connectivity. Okay, so Bookmap is a software trading platform. That's what we are, just like other platforms out there. We're not a data provider, nor are we a broker. So you will need to provide your own data for futures or U.S. equities. And these are the ways that you can connect. Rhythmic, CQG, Stage 5 is a broker, but they have many different ways of connecting. Gain Capital, IQ Feed, Transact Data, and then Dev Experts. The Dev Experts, I'll talk about that in just a second. But you can also see 3 different platforms up here: Ninja, TTX Trader Pro, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. So these are 3 platforms, and we're a platform as well. However, we can connect via the API of these platforms. So you can go that route, but we recommend connecting directly to the data provider like CQG, Rhythmic, etc. You're just going to get a bit cleaner data and a bit more reliable. All right, now for equities and how you connect is you scroll up here, and the Bookmap for equities is here. Yeah, you can read about some of the advantages, and you can click on the button here to get the package that you want. It's a consolidated feed of NASDAQ Total View, EdgeX or BATS, those are the options. CTA and UTP will be available soon, but it is not at the moment. Anyway, you can get one or the other or both for the equities. So really nice package here, low latency, full depth of market for US equities. If you haven't seen our last week's equities presentation, well, I'll show you a link here for just a minute, or in just a minute here. Anyway, that's the Bookmap for equities, and then here's how you subscribe to Bookmap. You'll see the number of platforms that are here. You can subscribe yearly, get a 20% discount, or monthly. Click on here, and you can see there's a couple different digital versions and there's a couple different global versions. Okay, the digital version is free. The data is free as well for the GDAX exchange for digital currencies. You only get access to one though. Okay. Now the Digital Plus, you get access to 20. You also get a lot more. You can trade right from the Bookmap chart. You can record and replay that data, and then you get the advanced education that I've been talking about. Now, the global version, it includes everything in Digital Plus. You still get all the access to the digital currencies and the free data. However, this global version allows you to connect to futures and equities. Okay, so that's the global version. Now you will need to provide that data for the futures and for the equities. Now the Global Plus version includes everything. In addition, you get our proprietary add-on indicators. Okay, one-click trading right from the Bookmap chart, which is great because you have the heat map in front of you, so you can utilize that for your trading. Front run high liquidity, hide your stops behind high liquidity. And then there are some other proprietary indicators we put together that start to delve into not only order flow phenomena, but specific activity from specific players, like large lot tracker. We're looking for larger players that hold the majority of liquidity at specific price levels. Some imbalance indicators, iceberg detector, again, looking for larger players that are using iceberg orders. And then a correlation tracker here. Okay, so for the if you're looking for connecting to the futures or equities, you'll need the global or global plus, and then the digital plus is only for those digital currencies. Okay, and all three of these though you get that advanced education. All right, let's jump over here to social media and just show you. At Bookmap_Pro, the feed here, interviews with other traders, all sorts of good information here. And then you can also subscribe to our YouTube page here. And I'll just go over the some of the playlists. So intro playlist here, features and components playlist, just some of the interface, how you use Bookmap. And then order flow video snippets. I would recommend watching as many of these as you can. This is what Bookmap starts to visualize. Okay, the order flow phenomena that it can visualize for you. Very concise videos that go through these concepts in the order flow. And this is what we go through in detail in the advanced order flow webinars once you subscribe. Okay, a bit further down, if you want more information about that competitive advantage that you get here with the US equities, you can click on that link here and watch this video here. Okay, this is that DX feed Bookmap for equities webinar that we put together last Thursday. All right, well, let's jump into Bookmap and take a look, see what's going on. All right, we're going to look at, well, we're looking at the ES here. We're going to look at the NASDAQ. So I'll jump over to the NASDAQ here. Okay, and all right, well, you can see I have quite a few things open here on my Bookmap chart and some add-on indicators, etc. We're going to simplify this version here. So let me start to turn off like our correlation tracker here. Okay, our VWAP. We have a historical VWAP, which has been a great indicator. And we're going to close up our cumulative volume delta sub panel here. Okay, and we also have, you can see this blue line here. This is the POC of the session. So we're going to close that as well. We're just going to look at some of the basics here. Okay, all right. So here's the Bookmap chart. This is what you get with the Bookmap global version. What are we looking at here? Well, if you're new to Bookmap here, we need to define what some of these elements are because it might be rather confusing. It's actually really simple and straightforward data that we're looking at here. Looking at just three elements on this Bookmap chart. One is that historical best bid and offer. The next are the transactions, these volume dots that you see here, that took place on that historical best bid and offer. Okay, just the transactions. Now the third element is this heat map that you can see here. And you can see the different colors from red, orange, yellow, white, and blue. The scaling is up here. All it is a recording of the liquidity that was in the dome. Okay, and this transposed on the chart historically. It's as simple as that. And high liquidity is here. It's this red kind of color here, and then orange, then yellow, and then white, then blue. Okay, and then finally black as the lowest areas of liquidity. Okay, now just I'll define all of that about the liquidity heat map in a minute. Let's just start to define some of the other elements first, and then we will get into the heat map here. Okay, and I'm just going to show you a common view. We're all accustomed to this view, candlestick chart, open, high, low, and close of a 5-minute period. Okay, now we've been, if you've been trading for a while, you've probably been looking at this kind of view for quite a while. And there's a really inherent problem here with the candlestick chart, and it's aggregated data. That's the problem here. Okay, of a 5-minute period. Well, only 4 data points for this 5-minute period, open, high, low, and close. And well, what happened in between? That's what we want to know. When we see the big movement here after the open, right away to the upside. Okay, we see the wicks, the bodies. We all know the different kind of patterns here, but we're really closed off to what happened within these periods, and that's because it's aggregated. Okay? Now, Bookmap does not aggregate any of the data. Okay? And we're going to turn on just our first element on that Bookmap chart, which is a historical best bid and offer. And here it is. Okay? Now, you can see what happened within these periods. So let's zoom into this little top up here. Okay? And zoom in a little closer. Okay. All right, well, here's what happened within this 5-minute period. Okay, from here over to here, this is exactly what happened within the chart or with price. And it's just, all it is just best bid and offer. We don't see any transactions, we don't see the heat map, etc. Just historical best bid and offer. But what this allows us to do immediately is start to understand microstructures and speed of some of these moves. And that is not within this candlestick. You don't see that. And that's the problem. So let me explain here in terms of microstructure. What do I mean by that and why it's important? Okay. Well, you can see a consolidated period here. Okay. And we broke above that. Okay. And we broke above here. And we consolidated up here. Okay. Well, this isn't really even that micro of a structure, but it's still demonstrating the point. Okay. This is the kind of data we want to know. You can't see that in the candlestick chart. Okay. So we accepted down below here. We have a breakout, and we accepted up above here for a bit. Okay. Now, in terms of microstructure, you'll see the same pattern again and again and again, because here's another microstructure here. Another one, here's your breakout from those areas. Here's the return back to where it broke from right here, and it accepted. Okay, now all of that happened within the bigger structure here. Okay, but it's still the same type of pattern. Anyway, that's the microstructure, and that's what we want to understand, what happened within that candlestick. And now we have that transparency. Now let's take a look at the volume here that traded on that historical best bid and offer. And this is really going to give us a lot more insight. Okay, and here it is. Okay, and note how I was showing this little area down here in the breakout. Well, look at the volume here. Okay, green dot is aggressive market buy order. Red is aggressive sell. Okay, well, a lot of volume here, a lot of buy volume. Maybe the pullback was pretty strong. But we float right back up to this area again, and then look at the volume up here. It takes this kind of volume here, of buy volume, to pull it up out of these structural areas. Okay, you got to have, usually you find quite a few more buyers that lift the offer, and that's what it takes to break out of these areas here. And you can see pretty clearly here, just by looking at the size of the volume dots and the color, that there's a lot of buying in here. Okay, now let's zoom into this area here, and I want to show you just these two elements and how we're recording them. All right, so well, here we go. So historical best offer, okay, that first element is this red line. Best bid is the green line. That's it. Now you can see these volume dots. Okay, well, this is the volume that transacted on that historical best bid and offer, and we can use this data tip tool and hover over these dots, and we can find out exactly what the volume was. So this is for a volume of 5. This is for a volume of 1. Okay, and let's zoom in here, and maybe we'll find out that there are more trades within that area, and indeed there are. Okay, so we're not aggregating any of this data here. Okay, you can see precisely what happened here. Okay, this was for volume of 2, and these were both, all the rest were volume of 1. And the total here is for a volume of 5, okay, within this chart range. And that's why that one dot, when we zoom back out, informed us that it was for a volume of 5. Okay, so that's how we're displaying the volume very precisely. You can zoom in here and continue to zoom in and look at nanosecond level if you want. I mean, everything is recorded. Every single market event is recorded and then transposed onto the chart. Okay, now we don't trade at those levels. So when I zoom back out, we're going to aggregate just visually all these volume dots into a bigger dot. So the size and color of the dot, it gives you reference to what some of these areas are, what exactly happened there. Okay, and we can continue to zoom out, and you'll note that at a certain point, you'll see some of these volume dots turn into bigger and bigger dots, and then you'll see some of them, like this one over here, is giving us a kind of an overall shape here. You can see that it's half, well, a little more buying than selling here, and that's because in this little area here, many transactions took place very quickly. So we're giving you the overall shape of what occurred there. If I zoom in here, I split out all of that data, okay, into their individual elements, and we can see precisely what traded here. All right, so that's how we display these two elements in the Bookmap chart. Now let's get to the heat map and talk about that. Okay, let's go to the current market for that. And we can take our candlestick chart off, and we can look at the heat map. Okay, now the heat map, this is new for a lot of traders. They've never seen data presented quite like this. It's really simple and straightforward. All it is let's look at the dome here in Bookmap. Everything to the right of this vertical white line, this is the current market. Okay, here's our current best bid and offer, and this number is the last traded volume here. This is our price ladder. Okay, and then here we can see the liquidity on the offer and liquidity on the bid. This is your dome. Okay, this current order book column, COB. All right, so immediately though, we can see areas of high liquidity. Okay, 81 contracts up here, 75, 73, 72. Well, these are sellers, and there's a lot of sellers up here. In fact, our large lot tracker, see this little white line here? This is most likely because all of this liquidity is the same. One player is holding the majority of liquidity at each of these price levels. Okay, that's one of the indicators that you get with the Global Plus version. And you can see it's giving us insight. They're holding probably, it looks like to me, about 50 contracts at each level. Okay, so there we go. We've identified that larger players, or one individual larger player, is most likely at these 4 different levels up here. All right, anyway, so right off the bat, because we visualize, we take the data here in the dome, these numeric values, and we turn that into a heat map. And so it's all visual here. So we know immediately areas of high liquidity, they're going to be according to the scale up here. If it's red or orange, it's going to be high liquidity, and then it will scale on down to yellow, white, and then blue. right? And this is what it looks like. So we take the data here from the current market, okay, and when you see these numeric values change, you'll see the heat map change, okay? But then we record it, and then everything to the left of this vertical white line is the a recording of that liquidity. So see these striations in here? See how it went orange and then lighter orange and then yellow, etc. Well, that's what it looks like when you add and pull liquidity. What this allows you to do is now start to understand the behavior of this trader up here and how much they're willing to trade at some of these levels. Are they adding in more liquidity as price comes up toward them? Are they starting to pull liquidity? Well, now we have a record of it, and we can start to gauge the intent of these traders on the offer and on the bid. Highest in the book right now is these guys down here at 69.40. 96 contracts are down here, and they just added in not too long ago. Okay, you can see that they were there was less over here, like 67 contracts, and then down to 63, and then up to 70, and then now they're in here with 96, and they've been in here for a while. Okay, well, a few minutes, let's say. But anyway, we can understand that we know that they're here, and we'll see if they're going to trade or not if they have the intent, because price is coming right down to them now. Okay? And we're going to be able to read this and understand and see if this was real liquidity or not. And we're one tick away. Okay, and see how they're starting to pull a bit, and there's our answer. Okay, so here we traded right into it, and look, 86 of those 96 traded. Okay, they started to transact right into this high liquidity, and this is what it looks like. Okay, and it looks like they actually started to pull some of those 10 contracts, right? At least 10 of them were kind of pulled at the last second. Okay, so 86 traded, and we can see that precisely what occurred here. Okay, this is what it looks like. So was this real liquidity? Absolutely. Now we know. So a lot of traders will say, well, I don't really look at the DOM. It's all a fake liquidity. You really can't read it. You don't know. Well, that's not true. Here's your answer right here. Now we know. Okay, the majority of that liquidity traded. There's no question about it. Okay, so we found a real player. He wanted to trade down here. He wanted to be a buyer, and he's long. Okay, and it's going against him. Anyway, you'll note though how larger players they'll layer in at specific price levels lower and lower and absorb price as it comes down into those areas, and then they'll start to get filled into their position. Right? So there's a lot of different things to start to read and understand in this chart, and putting all these kinds of pieces together of understanding the current auction and historical auction. So for example, because we record all of the liquidity here in this heat map, well, what that allows me to do is use my DOM on much higher time frames. So let's zoom out. Okay. Well, here's my answer. There's a lot of sellers up here. They're pretty aggressive, right? And you can see like here, high liquidity, higher liquidity that's more aggressive. Okay, it's lower than it was before. They really want to sell, and then there's even lower here. Okay, and look at the reaction that price has had to it, or the traders have had to it. Okay, next stop is right here at 69.35. That's the next area of liquidity, and then after that, it's down here at 69.30. Okay, now a lot will happen in between those areas, but that's where we see the higher liquidity on the bid. All right, the larger player, again, you want to go over that? Sure, no problem. All right, well, they're still in here, as you can see. Well, let's go back. No, they're starting to pull. They're starting to pull up here, okay? But that's okay. We can go back and look at it historically, right? Just scroll back. And this is that large lot tracker. Okay, see this little white line here? Okay, well, see how there's 75 contracts here? Okay, so this bar here, red bar, signifies 75 contracts graphically. Right, and this one's 73, and this one's 81, and this little white line here, okay, is, oh, I can't go over it with that. All right, that's fine. This little white line here is showing us that the large lot tracker, that at this price level of 46.5, okay, that one individual player, our algo has identified one individual player is holding about, 3/4 of that, or 2/3 of that, right? About 50 contracts or so, just by looking at the bar. Okay. Now, what's interesting about that is look how this is exactly the same as this down here. Okay. So now, and that's the same as this down here and here. Okay. So most likely, it's one individual player that has 50 contracts spread across 4 different price levels. Right, and we know that. I mean, here it is. It's sitting right in the chart, and it's telling us. Okay, we also know. Okay, now let's zoom out. Okay, look how this guy pulled, actually, and then pulled here as well. He's pulling and actually being even more aggressive. See how he pulled here. Let's use the crosshairs tool. He pulled here almost at the same time. This and this. Okay, and then down here. Right? Well, he pulled here, and looks like he's probably getting even more aggressive and adding down here. See how these two now are the same. Okay, 82 and 60 contracts, right? And he's just getting tested right now. Okay, so now you're starting to understand really specific data and behavior of some of the larger players. Well, here they are. We've identified them. Okay, try doing that in the dome. Try to memorize these areas here in a dome and this kind of behavior. I think it's going to be extremely challenging. I don't think it's possible to be able to clearly see and understand this kind of behavior here. Okay, I mean, you may see some of the larger areas, and you may see it move down to another area quickly, but 4 of them over a long period of time, and then be able to zoom out and then understand all of this here on a much higher time frame, and where we might possibly go. Well, I mean, that's going to be pretty challenging. And it's just very, very simple and straightforward here by looking at Bookmap, because we're starting to understand these areas clearly. Mental fatigue in terms of trying to memorize levels in the book is just much easier to be able to just visualize it using Bookmap. Anyway, let's end on that. Didn't get to really, well, got to this very, very specific stuff in some of the order flow, but some of the book sweeps and other things of how we move from one price level to the next. That was in the microstructure that I covered earlier. But we can go, we've got the rest of the week here to go over a lot of these different things. Yeah, you'll need the Global Plus version for the this add-on indicator. Okay, so let's go back here and I'll show you. So this is the Global Plus version here, and the one indicator I'm showing, that white line, is the large lot tracker one right here. Okay, that's one of 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 of the indicators that we have for the Global Plus version. This is just one of them. Okay. All right, guys, let's end it up here, and we will see you in the next webinar if you're registered and subscribing. Okay. All right. Have a good day.